Okay. Hold on. Let me just double check. Yeah, all right. Let's get started with some music here. I don't have anything special necessarily for you. Not something that I hand selected, that is. But we have a little bit of, like, cool music to play just as we're getting started here, guys. So let's get started with that. Oh, yes. This is Bright Lights. I can't go that. I could, but I don't want to. Shout out to JLP hosting the Hake Report on D Live. This is Bright Lights. What song is this? Save My World. Nice. Bright Lights is John Parfitt. Jon Parfitt. Parfitt. And I have some I have some super chats left over from yesterday that I do want to read. Mo Betta Stand Up gave a diamond. No, not a diamond. A Ninjagini over there on dlive.tv/The Hake Report. It's a platform on which you can support. Yes, once again, you can support via DLive on JLP and Hake. I wonder if the other shows have been remonetized. But he said, 5-hour energy, Hake. Sorry to steal number one, Brindle. Must identify the enemy by their fake white anti-USA tactics. Yeah. Rock Climber says, Obama was for it. I don't remember what he was for. But he's really, well, he says something, but I say pro-gay. And Big Mama, he says something, but I'm just going to say a mess. Sort of mannish. But she is a woman, I say. Sixto Rewhiteed says, keep Louis, Bootsies, Mama in your prayers, everyone. Yes, pray for Louis' mother. Shout out to Louis. Hot Computer Smell said, back-to-back solid shows this week. Hake, thank you. Alvin from New Zealand. These are Streamlabs super chats. Streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. You can go there and find a way to super chat. Alvin from New Zealand says, has anyone seen Earl? It's a good question. Earl, check in with us. Or have somebody check in with us if you hear this. I will be getting to your calls, guys. 888-775-3773. Just had to get to some super chats that I hadn't read to you guys yet. There's virus hype all over. There's this Stop Asian Hate hashtag hype, which is being used to smear and attack white people. There is this Capitol riot hype, and yet voter shenanigans is still an interest despite mass media downplaying of it. Transgender madness here in America and up there in Canada. It is terrible. How much time do we have? Okay. We're going to get started in a minute here, guys. I have people on the line. Sports Illustrated pushing mess. I told you during Hake News about Captain America. There being a so-called gay Captain America. It's just a disgrace that they're just pushing this mess, pretending that they're being caring, so caring to people who have a delusion and a perversion. That we all gotta overcome perversions and delusions and evil. So it's so bad. It's so bad. I am not remonetized on YouTube, by the way. I did try to monetize on YouTube because you can super chat on other platforms, Trovo, DLive, and Streamlabs, but not on YouTube. So I checked. I reapplied 6-7 months ago, and they said no. Actually, they did not say no. They're still considering it, but I got a couple of strikes between those times. Anyway, guys, let's get on finally with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how are you doing? I am fine. Isn't it interesting that the people pushing sanity, truth, all that stuff, at least when they do it, they are hated for those things by the liberals. And yet, and then like on the right hand, those on the right side, the people who are hateful on the right side hate people for not being truthful enough in their opinion. It's interesting. Take Jordan B. Peterson. Jordan B. Peterson is a man who was interviewed by Jesse Lee Peterson way back in 2015 or maybe 2016. Must have been 2016, I want to say. Late 2016. And that guy, he stood on the truth about this transgender madness. He's not going to go by this, you're going to force me to say Z and Zer. If you haven't heard of that, those are pronouns that instead of he or him and her or something like that, they're saying Z and Zer for people who are not the normal man or woman. A while ago, right? And he was hated for that. And he's talking about, oh, you can't be into equality of outcome. Maybe equality of opportunity, I guess. And then on the right, people say Jordan Peterson is a beta. He's a former communist. He's a phony. They say that he's a drug addict, all of that stuff. But those people hate him because of, various things. But he was right. There is this crazy story that I just came across on revolver.news. A Canadian father was, according to Revolver and the Post-Millennial, which is a centrist outlet, I guess you would call it, Canadian father jailed for calling his daughter his daughter. A judge holds him in contempt for quote-unquote misgendering. Misgendering is when you call the transgender by what they are, a man or a woman, or a boy or a girl, as opposed to what they want everybody to pretend that they are, which is a male or which is a male if they're a female, or a female if they're a male, or a they or a Z or Zer if they prefer those things. And so it's a nightmare because schools, government schools, right? And they think, oh, you have to have public schools funded by the government and controlled and run by the government. Otherwise, that's anarchy. No. These people are evil. The school socially transitioned this child, I guess you would call her, his daughter, and changed her name without telling the parents. This father, I use the term man a little bit loosely because I don't know how manly he can be. But anyway, he said, here I am sitting there as a parent, which he should say as a father, but anyway, watching a perfectly healthy child, he should say girl, be destroyed, and there's nothing I can do. Crazy, huh? There was a warrant issued by a judge for the arrest of the father after calling his biologically female child daughter and referring to her with the pronouns she and her. He was found to be in contempt of court. Robert Hoogland. Robert Hoogland. Hoogland. Canadian State Prison of Conscience. What a shame. A gender nonconformist little girl. And there are story after story. I told you during Hake News yesterday or the day before about a 16-year-old girl and her boyfriend and her 18-year-old brother, all of whom, quote-unquote, testified against what the daughter described as her drama queen father, who went to the Capitol. And he was supposedly a 3%er, a Trump supporter guy, but a 3%er, which I'm not clear on what a 3%er is, but I'm sure it's not as sinister as the mainstream media would have you believe. They're pretending that it's a extremist. And maybe some of them are a little off. Who knows? But it's not. Again, it's just a smear upon whites and Trump supporters and conservatives, right? And that guy, the judge denied him bail, pretending like, oh, he's a danger to you, because he said that he would shoot a hole in his daughter's phone if she tried to snitch on him for supposedly participating in the riot. And I don't know what he actually did. But he showed up, part of the evidence was he showed up with guns to the Capitol days before the Capitol thing. I thought we had our Second Amendment. You can show up anywhere with guns, pretty much. You're supposed to be able to. Anyway. But this Hoogland guy, Robert Hoogland, opposes his child's undergoing gender affirmative medical procedures. A 14-year-old girl. Isn't your brain not even fully developed until you're 25? It's funny because I've heard that there is a movement among some people to say you can't consent to sex until you're 25 years old, because by then your brain is fully formed, your frontal lobes. It's just a big mess. I don't know how this even got to court, but this guy's Justice Mazzari, Mazari. Oh, wow, you found him. Look at that. Cute little girl, probably a tomboyish. And that's Robert Hoogland, Canada. Hoogland's lawyer, Carrie Lind, said even though he was guilty of no crime, he was forced to sit in the prisoner's dock. Judge referred to him as the accused. The mother is pushing for it. Of course. Reminds me of little James. Remember that Save James thing? Not me, James. But that 7-year-old, 8-year-old boy who the mother, who's not even the biological mother, took the boy away from the father, who I think is the biological father. Anyway, similar story as this guy. Mothers. What a mess. The child had complex problems. The court blamed them all on gender dysphoria. His marriage to the child's mother had broken up. He said in grades 5 and 6 his daughter was getting into trouble and hanging out with boys. You know that's trouble when the daughter's like one of the guys. Not always, I guess. Anyway, what a mess. It's terrible. What a messed up so-called civilization we have, huh? Jordan Peterson shared this story and said, "This could never happen," said those who called my stance against this bill that forced people to use these names, these terms, Z and Zer and they and all that stuff. It was called Bill C-16. Alarmist. They called my stance alarmist. Slippery slope type stuff, right? I said I read the law and saw that it was, to the contrary, inevitable. There is a picture of a young lady, 22-year-old young woman, whom I watched be interviewed a couple of times by liberal journalist Michael Tracy. And you saw, if you were watching the intro, Joelle Friday here showed you a couple of pictures of her. Once when she was thinking she was a boy. Horrific, huh? And once when now that she's back to being a girl or a young lady. Helena, I think is her name. And she tweeted out, and she's been an activist. She calls herself a Detrans activist. And guess where she was radicalized? I'll tell you in a second. She said, I identified as trans for 5 years and took testosterone for 17 months. Wow. I began detransitioning February 2018. So she was doing all that stuff before she was 18, because if she's 22 now, according to her Twitter, then in 2018, she was, 19 maybe? So for 5 years, She was identifying as trans before that. So she, at 13 years old, 14 years old, she was doing this. I think 14. Just like this other girl. It was a way to cope with my trauma and my body hatred. 3 years later, I'm thankful to truly live authentically, she says. No longer running from myself. Hashtag Detrans Awareness Day. And now she's like a pretty girl again. Or at least looks like a young lady, right? Helena at Lacroix. LACROICSZ is her Twitter handle. Lacroix. She calls herself a detransgender apostate. So right on for her. But guess where she was radicalized? Tumblr. Tumblr is like a kind of a much joked about platform. It is a social media platform. It's the platform that Asian girl who was went to that haunted hotel way over on the in downtown LA. Well, it's not really a haunted hotel, or maybe it is, but this Asian girl from Canada, she came down here. She has major mental health problems, or really spiritual health problems. She doesn't anymore. She's dead. But she stopped taking her drugs, freaked out, flipped out, somehow got into a water tank and died and disappeared. People couldn't find her for some time, and it was a horrific story. But she was on Tumblr, too. These girls on Tumblr. It's bad news. But where is all of the focus on the social media stuff? YouTube. Because YouTube is where the guys are. And guys starting to think like men is bad news for the liberals. Because if you start thinking like men, you stop being a liberal. You start thinking logically. You start being pro-America or pro-what's right. You start being logical. This woman was radicalized on Tumblr. She started reading about how popular it is and how cool it is to be into the LGBTQIA madness. And yeah, it's bad. I started going on Tumblr to look for guests when I was producer for the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and you would hardly find anybody who would be willing to go on there because it's a bunch of cowardly females. They're scared. Anyway, Tumblr, bad news. One good thing about Tumblr was, I guess, that they supposedly banned pornography. It was kind of famous. It rose up a stink. But anyway, there are some evil liars running their mouths about these Asians who were killed. There were whites killed too, but they don't care about them. Over in the spas shooting, I'm going to tell you about that after I get to a few calls. I have some other stuff. A horrific story, speaking of horror stories. But it's a messed up family situation, I guess you could say. Right here in Victorville, California, about 9 years ago, a little over 8, a 4-year-old daughter was just beaten, hated, deprived of water, ignored, and died of thirst. I'll tell you about that later. Crazy story. But first, let me get to some calls. Bobby in Texas. How are you doing, Bobby? Good to hear from you.
I'm doing well. How are you doing, James?
Fine. Thank you.
Awesome, man. I got a good one today. I got a hot topic. So
All right.
I get up this morning and I'm about to head into work with my cattle. And first thing I see is we got the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition is going to feature their first transgender man, woman, I don't know what you call it.
Wow.
I guess they want to get little boys and young men into, sexualizing that, make it easier for the transition.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting because the Sports Illustrated was known to be and denigrated as a, I don't know that they were denigrated as sexist, but it was basically kind of considered pervy or perverted because they would promote the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated. I don't know if they did it once a year or whatever, but it was the pervy guys would be looking at this Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition and look at the models in the bikinis and stuff like that.
I mean,
and now it's funny because evil grows, and that was one evil overtaken by even worse or even more twisted perversion.
But almost what's even better is the narrative that is coming off of it. Is like they're likening the transgenders to black people. So it's like, you know, they're trying to make excuses for the transgenders as if they were black. So it's like an amazing red pill for black Americans.
Oh, yeah.
That are not happy to be, that are not wanting to be tied into being the same as transgenders.
Possibly so. Yeah. It could be a wake-up call for some.
Because I made a comment about it being you know, they have their own, don't they have their own magazines for this kind of stuff? Like,
right.
Why do we need to have them in like a mainstream publication? They were like, what, like black people used to have their own drinking fountain? I was like,
that's funny.
Like, I'll be honest, man, most black people, or I wouldn't say most, but a lot of black people feel like forced segregation was one of the worst things to happen to the black community. So, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be happy to hear you. Right.
Yeah, forced integrate. You said forced segregation. Yeah, a lot of blacks did not like integration. And to this day, many of them say that it was a bad thing.
Right.
Including the blacks who hate whites, not just the ones who like freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't think they would be too happy to hear you comparing them with transgenders, like that's some kind of normal thing. But
right.
Okay, keep it up, because it's great from my side.
They trick the people, the intellectuals trick the people by saying, do you think that it's a choice or were they born that way? Well, that's not the only two choices. And first of all, nobody knows if they were born that way. They pretend like they've found like a gay gene and stuff like that. You can maybe if the mother's
I'll be honest, like,
crazy.
When I grew up in a really, really small town.
Yeah.
And there were, you know, kids that I had one in my class and one a couple grades lower, and I think there was one a little bit older. But
you're talking about the gays?
They were, yeah, they were gay. Like, as far as we could tell, you know, I mean, obviously they played with the girls, did cheerleading. You know, they were messing around even as young kids,
right? And
they both turned out to come out of the closet as gay. So I don't know, maybe.
I know, but that's just a feminization. It's a feminine.
Yeah,
that's being effeminate. I'm not saying that they can necessarily help their perversion, especially early on like that. But it's twisted. They're twisting the argument. They're saying, oh, they can't help it. Therefore, it's okay and right, and they should be live authentically. That's not authentically. That's living a phoniness. Anyway.
But yeah, I thought that was just a wild, eye-opening story first thing in the morning. I was like,
right.
Oh. I guess I bought my last Sports Illustrated.
Good.
I've kind of been off that train for a long time, but
yeah,
it's like now it's set in stone. It's like there will never be another one of those in my hands.
Yeah, wow, that's wild.
But
that's pretty gross, man.
I gotta let you go. I got a cow about to be born. I gotta go work with.
Right on, Bobby.
Yeah, about to be born. So yeah, I'll get back with you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, probably.
All right. Take care.
Have a good day, James.
You too. Wow. Let me get to Zach in Columbus, Ohio. Zach, how are you doing? It's good to hear from you again.
I am doing great, James. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you.
That is good. Before I get to my point, I do want to say what Bobby was talking about, the transgenders and all that.
Yeah.
Before we know it, like my generation, when I get to be like 40 years old, we're probably going to have it as a president.
Don't say that. Cancel those words in the name of Jesus, as the Zoomers say.
Yep.
That's funny. I hope not. I mean, it's a disgrace that we have it was a disgrace that we had Clinton. It was a disgrace that we had W, honestly. And and then Obama, oh my gosh. And then
and those are all
Biden, and then Kamala.
Kamala is worse than Obama.
Yeah.
Just the fact that she's a liberal woman, the most liberal woman in America. Let's not forget that.
Is she?
Yeah, she was voted the most liberal woman in America.
And she's one of the most unlikable too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But my point is, I was on the internet. My friend Matt brought it to my attention that apparently research finds that 97% of women in the United Kingdom have been sexually harassed, or so-called sexually harassed.
Uh-huh. It
Which
sounds like a cheapening of the definition.
Exactly. It's who even came up with this?
That's funny. They usually say, don't they say that college student females, 1 in 5, 20% have been sexually something in some way or another?
Yeah, and that's bull crap. That's
Yeah.
1
in 4
crap.
now, huh? Wow. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's silly.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. The women, in my experience, the women are more forward and inappropriate than the males.
They are, and a lot of people don't see that because obviously they're blind.
Yeah.
But even in my experience, too, in 16 years, you keep calling me 17, I'm 16.
Oh, okay.
But it's okay.
All right.
In my 16 years, I've even seen that, especially the women now in my generation, are worse than the men.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. They're encouraged. The men are beaten down and shut up.
Exactly. A lot of beta males in my generation. Don't be surprised when you're like 80 years old and I'm like 40.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, there's going to be an it, and there's going to be a bunch of blacks running the country.
80. I'm 80 and he's 40. How does that work? I'm not 40 and he's 16. So 23 years, right? 23 years older than him, something like that. But when I'm 80, he'll be 40. Dang.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll be a senior then.
Right. You're 40, I'll be 63 or something like that.
Yep.
If we make it.
Yeah, I hope we make it. By
Yeah.
then, the blacks would have probably taken over this world.
It's wild. No, I mean, stuff can turn around. You really don't know. You don't even know that this whole LGBT stuff is going to continue, even though we don't see a whole lot. We don't see much of anything that's stopping it, right? All of the attempts to stop it have been weak or overwhelmed by evil. But not all, because look at the brightness coming that's quite easily seen on the show before mine, Jesse Lee Peterson's show. There's people calling in, turning around, repenting.
Exactly.
So
and that's good to see. But have you heard of the cancel, like the whole cancel thing?
Like
cancel culture?
They call it cancel culture. Yeah. I mean, we've been seeing that ever since the 90s, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been seeing it more on TikTok more than anywhere.
Okay.
Because a lot of people are I've been so-called canceled at my school by the females.
Yep.
Because of my opinions, I guess.
In the good old days, we used to do this to the communists, and now the communists are doing worse to the real Americans than the real Americans ever did to them. They're just, it's kind of like the blacks with Jim Crow. They complain about what Jim Crow was like, but the way that they're treating whites is way worse than the blacks were treated under Jim Crow. And then same thing in South Africa. They say apartheid was bad, and maybe there were aspects of it or instances, bad things that happened. But what's going on in South Africa now is pure evil. They are communists.
I'm not really too familiar with what's going on in South Africa. I know Jesse touches on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'll have to do some research into what's going on in South Africa.
You can check out some of the interviews that Jesse Lee Peterson has done with South African guests. There's an American who's living in South Africa or lived. whom we interviewed a couple of times. There's Willem Petzer, who is a boer over there, and which is with the white native South African. And there's a couple of other guys from South Africa. One of them living here, actually.
Okay.
And you can learn through that or whatever. Lauren Southern did a nice documentary.
I'm not going to go on CNN and type in South Africa because I don't know what I'll see there.
Right. Yeah.
But it was good talking to you, James.
Yeah, you
I'll
too.
be back.
Appreciate it, Zach. It's good to hear from you. Take care.
You too.
All right. Let's see. Arizona lineman with a diamond says, "What's up, King James? Preach on, brother." Or he said, "What up?" Not what's up. What's up is boomer, Gen X. What up is millennial, black, and zoomer, right? They say what up. That might be pretty cringy. Hake, play some DMB. What is that? But thank you, Fluky Unicorn, for the diamond. Yeah, Buffalo Bartlett is another guy whom JLP interviewed. I interviewed him actually first. Yeah, what's up? What up? Yeah, Buffalo Bartlett. Jason Bartlett is his name. He came to live in Texas, I believe. I forget where he's living now, but he's living and working here in America illegally. And he's shining a light on what's going on in South Africa. There's a couple of other guys. There's many guys, actually. Afroforum is a good source. Where's our weird song, Hake? Chrissy asks. I did not prepare one for you, so all you get is John Parfit. Sorry. Okay, let me get to Howard in North Carolina. He has a question for me. Howard, what's up?
Not much.
Nice.
How about you, James?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Yeah, but before I get to the question, can I know what Jesse means about calling y'all experts. I get that. Why he calls y'all experts.
Why does he call us experts?
People act like they don't get it, but I get it.
What do you get about it?
What do I get about it?
Yeah.
He says everybody says they're experts, and you're supposed to they believe everything they say. So he's going to say y'all experts.
Nice.
I get everything else, and I know LeBron James is a basketball player. You know.
Right.
The one thing, what's a simp?
Tennis.
A simp.
A simp.
Yeah.
Are you asking me what a simp is?
Yes.
I'm glad you asked. Yes.
Yeah.
I got to explain that. When I say simp, I mean a male, usually, who kisses up, usually to women, but sometimes it's kissing up to blacks in the way that I used it, right? But somebody who kisses up, just like bowing down, kissing the feet of women, metaphorically speaking. Like just a total, makes you want to throw up or spit.
Throw up.
That's how gross it is to see a male kissing up to females, especially the feminist type of females, in some way or another. And that's what I mean by simp. And then sometimes people simp for blacks, like they kiss up to the female mindset that many blacks have taken on, which is to say they think that there's racism and they're victims, when in fact more often they're perpetrators.
Yeah,
so that's what I mean by simp. I think it's short for simpleton, but yeah, right. But simpleton doesn't even capture what I mean, because I probably first saw it. Was it invented by that guy? That guy who used to go on. He went on Tucker a couple of times. He's on Twitter. He's a rabid anti-white. He calls everybody a suspected white supremacist. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show and the Fallen State once or twice. He's the one who made this thing. Tariq Nasheed, the Kuhn Award. This is JLP's.
Yeah, Tariq Nasheed. Yeah, I've seen those. He said white. Jesse said you said white supremacy. I counted him and Jesse both said it 141 times.
Right. Yeah.
He said it over 100. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think that he made that term, but he was a. This is Tariq Nasheed's Coon Train Award trophy that he awarded to Jesse Lee Peterson. Let's see if I can.
That was a good one.
Plantation Celebration Award.
Yeah.
But he used to be a dating advice type of author, and people would talk about simps for males who were weak with women, and then also, well, he used another term for women. Anyway, so hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does. I know it wasn't good, but I didn't know exactly what it meant. But now
I'm glad to explain it because there are many people who don't know, and I sometimes use this newfangled slang and assume that people know what I mean. Nice.
Well, I've been off this week. That's why this is the third time I've called you this week. You probably know that.
Oh no, I didn't. I wasn't keeping track. I appreciate hearing from you. It's not like you call in every day saying the same thing.
No,
Yeah.
I try to stay on the subject, but I got off a little bit there. I just want to know what that meant.
No problem. I'm glad to clear that up.
Did you got it out on your computer there? The question to ask.
Yeah, you called in asking, do you believe Jesus will come back? Is that right?
Yes. Will they come back and put Satan for 1,000 years, and Jesus will reign without Satan influencing the world, or is Satan always going to influence the world, and Jesus has already come back? Or
I don't know.
I'd like to hear your take on that.
I hadn't thought about that part. When you said, do you believe Jesus is going to come back? I thought about with the rapture thing, or coming in the clouds and him. That thing. Yeah, I mean, I grew up taught that, so I do kind of believe that, but I don't know. It's I haven't gotten too into the predictions of things because a lot of people try to get into that stuff, and yet they're living their life in a bad way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I haven't really got into it, but it is in the Bible, and I'm a little curious about it.
Right.
That sounds good, if he comes back and he posts Satan, and he reigns for 1,000 years, and he will actually be on earth. That would be awesome. I hope that part is true.
Yeah, if you're understanding it right, because
if I've been doing the silent prayer and asking God, not really, just see what He tells me about it, and He hadn't really cleared it up for me. He's revealed a lot to me, but I'm still. It says all that stuff in the Bible,
Yeah, I mean they say not to get into rumors and all that stuff and getting into predicting. Even the Bible says that. When I say they say, I'm really saying that the Bible says not to get into. There will be wars and rumors of wars, or they'll say, "Look, here he is," and Jesus died.
Wars and rumors of wars.
Jesus died and came back.
I understand.
And so he came. That was a second coming, right? But so I don't know.
I understand that.
In a sense, you could say that's the second coming, and he did send the Holy Spirit on the people.
Right. But he defeated Satan then. I understand that.
Right.
It is finished. But, I'm sure you read the Bible and you've been to church all your life.
Yeah.
But those scriptures there that says that stuff like that, he will cast Satan, put a chain around his neck, the angel will come down and cast him in, and Jesus will reign for 1,000 years. What says, I don't know what that.
And the other thing is, Howard, they talk about the time of persecution, the great tribulation.
Yes.
They say is coming. And I was always worried about that, because what if they torture me and mutilate me and stuff like that? I'm like, I don't want them torturing me. I remember reading these.
Yeah.
I read these chicks publications, which was comic book portrayals of people getting tortured and do you deny Jesus and stuff like that.
I was afraid of that too when I was younger. When I grew up. If they take over.
But if you look around at the world, the real Christians are already getting persecuted. And I don't know if it's, and, you know, in other countries, they're outright getting killed and tortured and all kinds of stuff, along with many other people, too. I mean, evil doesn't just stop at hurting Christians. It hurts everybody. Yeah.
I just wondered what you thought about, you know.
Yeah,
After the 1,000 years, he'll throw him in the, and he won't be bothering us no more.
Yeah.
Forever. You know, it says not, you know, it's just, I've been taught that, you know, and I've read it. I was just curious what you thought about it.
Yeah.
That's all, you know.
My best answer is I don't know.
I don't dwell on it, you know.
Cool.
Like Jesus says, he says, prepare yourself every day.
Yep.
Be ready anytime, whatever happens. And Jesus is not God, because he said he didn't even know when he was coming back.
One of the
only God the Father knows.
Yeah, one of the major things that is said in the Bible is keep watch.
Yeah, he says to keep watch.
Keep watch. Be aware. Stay alert. It says the Bible says be self-controlled and alert.
Mm-hmm.
Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour.
And it says they say endure to the end, like Jesse said.
Yeah.
Endure everything until you drop your body.
Yep. And so the deception is never ending. I appreciate it, Howard.
Yeah, I don't want to get deceived into that, you know, believe me.
Right.
But it's in there, and it's kind of, you know what point I'm trying to make.
Yep. Thank you, Howard. Take care, man.
Yeah. I don't want to hold you. I'm glad you did sent to me.
Yeah.
I want to shout out to all you guys. Happy belated birthday, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Great hair. Joel, he black with the get to the dance. I like Zal. I like watching you. I like Jesse. Yeah, my wife said she liked watching you better than Jesse.
Wow.
But I don't show the favoritism. I like both of you.
Right on. That is funny.
Yeah, that is funny.
The women, the female-minded people, which, not to denigrate your wife, I don't know anything about her, but the female-minded people always try to get into they try to seduce the weaker vessel.
Yeah, but she likes Jesse, too.
Cool.
Yes, she's watching Jesse now, too.
Right on. That's good, Howard. Appreciate you, man. Take care.
Appreciate you, too.
All right. Man. Dave Matthews Band. Come on, man. When they said, hey, play some DMB, they're talking about Dave Matthews Band. Don't you think I would get like a copyright? Well, I probably wouldn't get a strike for playing something that is copyrighted. In fact, the copyright detectors have detected some of the music that I've been playing, particularly the soul junk. Soul junk being the weird rap, Christian rap music that I've been playing. Happy day after Ginger Celebration Day. And he has a party symbols, including the four-leaf clover. Should be three-leaf for the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Am I right? Yeah. But thank you, Penny Roo. Happy day after Ginger Celebration Day. I am Scottish and Irish and Danish, English, American, maybe even a little tiny bit American Indian. I don't know. Elizabeth Warren. And other things. Even a little bit of Dutch. So I'm related in a distant way to the South Africans, because the South African Boers, shout out, are they're Dutch, right? Holland. They came from the Netherlands and started in Cape Town, right? I think you guys took over and made a great country. Now on decline. I'm sorry to hear it, but hey, we got to face reality. So I'm descended from somebody who came on the Mayflower, I think. Or maybe related in some way. But she's dead now. Long dead. 1600s or no. Wasn't the I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. Dan East with the diamond. Thank you. No comment, Danny. Dan East. Dan_East. Malkuth X. Malkuth_X with a diamond on dlive.tv/The Hake Report said the world is filled with simps and thoughts Which are you? That seems like a false dilemma, Malkuth X. I am not a thought, and I plead the fifth. But thank you. Or maybe that's a question for all of you to answer, and I accidentally answered it when it was the question for all of you to consider in your own hearts, but don't say it out loud, because hide your issues. But thank you, Malkuth X. Very cool. Appreciate the support, man. Hot Computer Smell with a super chat on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report and says, the first time I heard simp, S-I-M-P, on YouTube was from Tommy Sotomayor, who has appeared on the Jesse Lee Peterson show and the Fallen State multiple times. And you know what's funny? Not to be rough on you, Tommy. I really like you. I respect you, man. But you did act like a bit of a simp with Lunel. Remember that black lady, kind of a little bit older, big lady, comedian, kind of dirty. She liked Joelle. She's appeared on the Jesse Lee Peterson show and the Fallen State, and you were kind of weak with her, and JLP made fun of you, man. But anyway, it was used as an acronym, SIMP, originally directed at beta males, described as S-I-M-P, someone who idolizes mediocre blank. Oh. Blank being a bad word that starts with the letter P. Someone idolizing mediocre blank. Thank you, Hot Computer Smell. Very informative. Hope the people who needed to understand that understood. And if you didn't understand it, be happy. You're better off. Man, that's terrible. Did you know that? I don't know. Did you know?
I was unaware of the acronym.
Yeah.
I figured there was an acronym in there, but yeah, I just knew it as simpleton and
Yeah.
the the acronym basically explains like the kissing out to women.
Right. Yep. Terrible. But thank you. Very informative. That's too informative. Yeah, Lunel, a liberal woman. Interesting. I'm going to get to these stories that I mentioned, but let me get to some more calls. Brenda in New York City wants to talk. Brenda, thank you for calling. A first-time caller, actually. What's up?
Hi.
Hey.
I'm so honored to speak to you. I think you're fabulous. I love you.
Thank you. I don't like that word, but I appreciate the sentiment.
You don't like the word love?
No, I don't like the word fabulous.
Oh.
That word has been so poisoned. Oh, my gosh. But anyway,
Well,
I appreciate that.
I mean it in a good spirit.
Nice. I can tell, I think.
So, I just wanted to call to speak on behalf of the LGBT community that does not align with the extreme LGBT community, because there is many, and I myself am a straight woman, but in my work, in my career, and in my personal life, I know a lot of gay and lesbian and transgender, and there is a large portion of them who they don't want to push their lifestyle on anybody. They think it's completely wrong that kids should get hormone treatment. They're not for any of that. They agree with the conservative values, and they're even being rejected by the gay community for speaking out and having a lot of terrible repercussions. I mean, think of someone like Brandon Straka from The Walk Away.
Right.
There's a lot of people like that, and I just wanted to just briefly speak up for them and just say, hey, like a lot of them, they're okay, and they agree. They're like, okay, I don't want to push my marriage on Catholics. I don't want to make anybody bake a cake for me. And I know transgender people who are completely against trans people being in sports. You know, they think they understand.
Right.
They're not trying to push their lifestyle on anyone, and they respect. As long as you're not trying to stop them from having shelter, food, employment, they're like fine. You know, like, okay, just don't try and hurt me or kill me. And I'm not trying to push anything on you, you know. And if you want to hang out with me or associate with me, I will. If you don't, I'll stay away from you too. So I just wanted to speak up for that segment of the gay and lesbian and transgender population, because they often don't have a voice, and they often are silent because they'll lose their job if they speak out. You know, they get...
Yeah, just like every other person who says anything true.
Right, exactly. And it's like, there's such a lie that the LGBT extremists are for everybody, because they're only for the people, just like the feminists, only for women who align with those values.
Right.
If a woman comes out conservative, they don't stick with her.
Yep. Very true.
So I just wanted to say
I'm aware of those people. I'm aware of those people, but they don't go far enough, really, because they're not aware that they should have shame and hide their issues. They think that it's right to be openly into what they're into, and it's not right. So even though they're trying to be reasonable through whatever brainwashing that has taken place, they are still openly into that and acting like that's okay when it's not. They're still deluded. Even though they're not as off the deep end, outright evil and all that stuff, they're still supporting evil and being shamelessly evil. Being shamelessly into the evil, whether they realize it or not. And I think they know it. I think everybody knows that homosexuality is wrong, and it's not natural, it's not right. It is a perversion. And same with all the rest of the BG, oh no, G is already there. L,
Right.
B, T, Q, I, A. Well, some of these things are, like the I thing is you're born intersex, right? You're born a hermaphrodite or whatever. But the other stuff, and that's just a physical thing, and people are getting tempted into false victimhood over that, which is a setup to make your life more miserable than it needs to be. But all this stuff, they're still wrong. It doesn't change the fact that they're out of the closet when they should be in the closet, quietly overcoming. Or quietly not overcoming, and maybe eventually they do overcome, just being patient.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. Like, I respect your view.
Don't you know that it's wrong?
I think that's a struggle for me, because I don't believe that's wrong. As a Catholic, I see that that's my teachings and my people, and I feel like that's something that for me...
But it's not just a Catholic thing.
Wait, let me finish.
Okay.
It's something for me and God to figure out, ultimately, and I just have a lot of... it's a complex issue for me that I don't think that I could get, like, that we could resolve in a short, quick phone call. But
Right.
I would say that ultimately...
It's not complex, though.
Well...
But I do acknowledge we're not going to solve it in a phone call, because the delusion is strong. The delusion is complex. Reality is simple.
I agree with you.
Yeah, reality is simple. It's wrong.
But ultimately...
And it's not let me just clarify. It's not a...
Right?
Hold on, Brenda. It's not a Catholic thing. It's not a Christian thing. It's not a Bible thing. It's a common sense thing. The Japanese knew that it was wrong for centuries and millennia, and they're not Christians. All traditional cultures and people knew that it was wrong, and they did not smile upon it, because that's not conducive to civilization, to families. And you called them a community. They're not a community. Communities are made of families, and they don't create families, and they make an imitation of family because they long for that innocence and that and a real community and a real family, but they do not have that when they're in that, as you might call, fallen state. And so it's miserable. So many of them, through guilt or a tiny bit of light, they realize, oh, this is evil what these radicals are pushing. Kind of like Jesse Lee Peterson. Even when he participated in the civil rights movement, which he now sees as a mistake, he knew even back then that it was wrong to be forcing businesses to serve blacks when businesses certain businesses didn't want to serve blacks. Why impose yourself where you're not wanted? So he had a little bit of common sense, but he was still into the black thing, which was still wrong. Same it is with the gays who are into their gayness, but not wanting to impose too much on the normals. But still, they're deluded. So it's not you're not showing love to them by pretending. And I realize that it's a strong, long brainwashing, especially for a woman. And it feels so bad to say that it's wrong, but it just simply is wrong. And it's a common sense issue. You don't even have to have the Bible to tell you that it's wrong, by the way.
I hear what you're saying.
And right and wrong, by the way, right and wrong is not something you figure out.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you, though. I am a woman, so, that means I'm a half retarded.
Do you actually think that?
I don't know if my half retarded comes from my being a woman or a man, but I definitely do think myself personally a little bit half retarded. But, and even when I just wanted to say, when I mentioned my Catholicism, I'm just speaking because I'm just speaking from my personal
right. That's how you were raised.
Point of view. Like, I'm not trying to speak for everyone. But I hear what you're saying. I still respect you, and I still think you're, what should I say instead of fabulous? What would you like?
I appreciate it.
You're masculine. I appreciate your masculinity.
Okay.
And,
thank you, Brenda.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Very nice. It's a nice sentiment, and I'm glad you called in because there's a lot of people who are thinking that way. They want to be like, based gays, based transgenders. And no, they're not. It's nice that they're sensible on certain issues. And Brandon Strzok is his name. It looks like Straka, but it's Brandon Strzok. They're nice people. Nice people are evil. And most people are evil. Even the normals, if you want to call them that, as opposed to the gays. But you don't pretend that wrong is right. Brenda simping for Satan, says William A33. Didn't see that, man. I would have mentioned that when she was on air. Hake, you almost have a Trovo rocket. Know how it works? Says my name ain't Jimmy. My name ain't Jimmy too. Is that where you got that? No, I do not know how a Trovo rocket works. But thank you. We're at the top of the hour, guys. I'm going to get to Gerald in Michigan after this quick break. And I have some more info of what they're saying. They're running their mouths. By they, I'm talking about the evil people, the deceivers, just the mainstream hype people about this so-called attack on Asians. They're the ones attacking the Asians by tempting them to think like the blacks, which many of them do. It's disgraceful, and it's actually been going on a long time. But it is amped up right now. And, of course, this father and girlfriend who were sentenced to 30 years in the death of the father's 4-year-old daughter. What a shame. I'm James Hake, and I'll be right back for the rest of Hour 2. Hang tight.
Still waiting for you.
we're back, guys. That was the song Come Out, and Red Pill X is putting rainbows around it, as in God's promises, I hope. Come out of the ark, not the closet. Come out of Noah's Ark, Kansas. But I remember when I was at Augusta Pacific University, which was 20 years ago, 18 years ago, 16 years. There we had to go to something called chapel Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and I don't know, a couple of times a week. And you show up, it's basically like there's singing, and then there's like a little sermon thingy where somebody talks. And sometimes they have a guest speaker at these chapel services. And I remember once or twice there was this ex-gay, this guy who was into the gay thing at one point, but he's a Christian and he's no longer into that. But yeah, he still sounded like super effeminate, like a gay. Oh my gosh. And he talked about how his voice was the leftover scars from his issue, his gay voice. It just made me think of that when we were talking about the stuff. And yes, when you come out of the ark, that's because God made the rainbow, and the rainbow was God's promise not to drown the whole land with a flood, right? Take back the rainbow. And all that Christian stuff. Right on. But I don't remember what that guy's name was who did those speeches at chapel over at Azusa Pacific University, which is now like more pro-gay than ever. And honestly, when I was there were a lot of like normal guys, and sometimes you didn't even know if they were Christians or not. So, supposedly, I think you're supposed to be a Christian if you go there, Azusa Pacific University, over here. But a lot of them, they were kind of like effeminate or very soft. So like soft and nice. What a shame. What has the culture done to men? What a shame. It's terrible. Let me get to Gerald in Michigan. Before I get to these stories, I have a lot of people actually on hold. Hang tight, guys. I will get to you. Gerald, though, out of Michigan, what's up?
Hello, James.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks for holding.
I just got my walking papers in the mail.
Walking papers? What's that mean?
Yeah. I got fired. I got basically they're gonna. It's not a right away kind of a thing. They gave us a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But they basically laid us off. They're sending our jobs to Mexico.
Wow. In Michigan.
Our union pushed us. They rammed Biden down our throats.
Yeah.
And basically told us to vote for him. And
did you?
Huh?
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Right.
But they were giving him all the go, and they were telling us that you don't vote for him, you're going to be fired. It basically intimidated us. And,
yeah.
And here we are.
That's terrible. Trump was trying to prevent that type of stuff from happening.
Yeah, Trump was, but here we are now. I mean, even the pipe fitters union, they did the same thing. They voted for Biden, and now their jobs are gone too. So,
what type of job, if you don't mind my asking?
I was putting them together.
Okay.
I was on the basically not to get to
no
details,
worries.
but
I understand.
Yeah,
that is terrible, man. You have a backup plan yet?
Well, there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
I was making good money.
How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
28.
Oh, really? Okay. You sound so mature. So I'm thinking of you as being like a 50 or 60-year-old dude.
Well, yeah.
You're just one of those.
I got old because I've been working. Well, I was on the line for 7 years now.
Yeah.
I was making good money,
now I got to go find me something else.
Yep. But
And,
chin up. You'll manage if you handle this well, man.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to be making what I was making.
That doesn't matter as much. That doesn't matter as much as just your needs taken care of.
Well, that's the thing.
It is injustice. It's evil.
I have the children to take care of. I got my wife to take care of.
Well, their needs taken care of. You taking. Yeah, that's what I meant.
I don't care for myself.
Yeah.
I don't care for my needs, but I care for my kids and.
You physically healthy?
Needs. They're healthy.
How about you?
Well, I'm okay. but the point is, if you, I don't know if you know about unions and how they work.
A little bit.
If you basically, they're supposed to be looking out for you.
Right.
They're supposed to be looking for your interest.
Yeah, that's a laugh.
I feel like they stabbed us in the back.
Of course.
There's a lot of guys on the line right now that are upset.
Did you know going in that your union was evil or run by evil people?
No, when I first started, everything was hunky dory.
Right.
I felt like everybody was talking about. I mean, the guys that are working with me, they basically they love Trump.
Yeah. Right.
But the management is what killed us.
Yep. Yeah, and you're talking about union management, not specifically
Correct.
the company. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's the way, man. Think about what union money goes to. You're forced to pay union dues, and then they support Democrats with it. And I heard that there's even a majority union-owned bank that's now supporting reparations for blacks. It's the Service Employees International Union, the Workers United. They own majority of this bank called, I forget what it's called, but I talked about it in Hake News. But unions have historically, in all of my awareness lifetime, my lifetime of when I've been aware of this political issue, unions have generally supported evil. Yes, they have scored very nice wages for their employees, and they make sure that they get their breaks and stuff like that. In my opinion, some of that is a little bit over the top, but they are wolves in sheep's clothing for the most part. And I'm not saying that the companies are these great people. Many of these corporations are evil too, but you can't overcome evil with more evil, and that's what they've done with the unions. It's ushered in a whole lot of evil. And I heard that MLK was for the unions, and I don't know what the unions were like back then, but I know what many of them are like today, and they're not necessarily your friends. I've gotten into arguments with people because I've denigrated unions, right? Because I have heard all this stuff. Teachers' unions, there's conservative teachers who are not into what these teachers' unions are doing, but they don't have a choice. So anyway, they didn't save your job, huh?
That's the only way I could have gotten this job is through the union, because if you don't join the union, that's it. I mean,
right.
This is the job.
That's their setup. That's how they make themselves all. I heard that there's a great article on revolver.news about unions. But man, I mean, you're young. You should make sure that you stay and get healthy.
I've been working since I was 14. So
okay.
I was, delivering papers when I was 14. So I was started working at McDonald's when I was 16.
Yeah. Do you have kids who are roughly that age who can start working?
No, I got young.
Okay.
Youngin.
Make them help out around the house.
Well,
I had to take out the trash. My brother had to clean the bathroom. We had to do stuff when we were kids. Don't let them get spoiled. You'll be fine, man. You're a young man, relatively. Like you're 28, right? you'll find work. It sounds like you're a good worker. If you've been working that long.
Well, it's not that. It's just finding something that's gonna, finding that's if Trump was in power, if Trump was our president still, we had a better chance of finding something else if something did happen.
Of
but
course.
Now I don't see where. I don't know. I don't see where. I mean, if something drastically changes, maybe, but I don't think so. I don't think this. I don't think Obama will give us my another job like the one I just had.
Well, you may have to take a dip in the lifestyle that you have. I don't know if you guys are living high on the hog and now you have to downgrade to a smaller place or whatever. Make some cuts.
You got a mortgage. You got a mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
Got cars. I got a truck that I got to pay for. A Ford truck.
Are you worried about it?
No, I'm not worried.
You sound like you're a little worried.
I got savings. It's just that finding another job. I'm worried about finding another job like I have. That's the worry that I have.
You a Christian?
Yeah.
Jesus said, "Do not worry."
Well,
it's in the Bible. That's a fact.
And Jesus said, "Perversion is the root of all evil, and money's the root of all evil too."
Love of money, not the money itself. The love of it.
The love of it, correct?
Yeah. Well, man, don't sweat it. You can. A man like you can take this in stride. Chin up. It is evil, but don't become a victim. Don't feel like a victim, and don't feel like you're
a victim. I'm just very upset of what our new president is doing to our country.
Understandable. Yeah.
And I pray that he changes his mind and doesn't sell our sweat and tears to other countries like he's doing.
You could always move to Mexico and find the work there.
Yeah,
I'm playing.
And get paid. I remember my old boss used to tell me, "Hey, I could send for what I'm paying you, I could have free Chinese."
Right. Yeah.
Take your place.
Right.
And he used to put that over on me all the time. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, man, I respect you. Keep up. Find something. Maybe you can start your own business on the side. But maybe you need to make some cuts. Who knows? Who knows what may happen? But if you don't hold on too tightly to anything in your mind, you'll be able to let whatever you need to let go of, and you can handle it like a man. Even no matter how much injustice there is in the world here.
Well, James, if you and Jesse made it, I'm sure I can make it too. So
cool. Well, I appreciate you, Gerald, and thank you for letting me know. I bet that's going on quite a bit, and it's not reported because the mainstream media does not care.
No, I'm just was a slap in the face this morning. So.
Oh, so you just found out this morning?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Well, do your best in your last 2 weeks, and you still going to be continuing to work there for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Now, you have to.
Yeah.
Or they don't give you your some of your pension or things like that.
Well, do your best, and people will take note, and you'll be a desirable either employee or desirable someone to hire for a job if you create your own business or whatever.
Well, we'll make it happen somehow.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
Let me know how it goes, Gerald. I'm check in after a time.
I will definitely do that.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
Cool, man. Take care.
You take care.
Thank you. Man, it's all unions, or all a union is corrupt and leftist by its very nature, says Asmodor. Yeah. AFL-CIO. Yeah, they're involved with the mob and all kinds of madness. They, by and large, support Democrats. And what do Democrats support that's good? Nothing. They support an imitation of the good. Oh, Joshua Everything asked for the caller, Gerald, and I didn't see it. He said, is the caller doing the silent prayer? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, sometimes news takes you by surprise. Okay. Let me quickly get to Skip in Augusta, Georgia. Skip, how are you doing? Thank you for holding.
Hey, Hake, how you doing, man?
Doing fine, thank you.
Well, look at here. Once they get through saying that it's white supremacy about this 21-year-old boy going in there and shooting up all them Asians at the sex shops and everything.
They're not necessarily sex shops, are they?
Well,
I mean, probably. They look like it. The spas.
It's pay for sex.
They're spas.
It ain't no. Yeah, it's pay for sex, Hake. It's exactly what it is.
I suspect you're right, but officially they're. Anyway, yes, you're right.
Well, anyhow, once they get through, blaming the white folks for killing the Asians, you're not going to hear anything at all about taking personal responsibility. Now, the boy said that he had a sex addiction. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure he might have, but that don't mean you go kill up a whole bunch of Asians or sex dealers because they put the product out.
Right.
You the one chose to buy that product or rent that product.
Right.
Or use that product. Mm-hmm. But there's not going to be anything about personal responsibility, and that's
true.
That is the big thing that should be looked at this instead of what they're going to flip it over and make it look like white supremacists.
Yes, very good point. Yeah, and I bet you that this prostitution stuff, if that was going on, is illegal, and the government should not be having it. It shouldn't be allowing pornography as much as they can, right? I saw this Epic Times headline that, what did I see? They wanted to ban pornography from cell phones, in one state, I heard. But anyway, you're right. Personal responsibility. That's not how you overcome sin, by shooting up the place that's a temptation for you. But duh. Anyway, go on. You were saying.
Look at here. When I was in my late teens and early 20s, you might would say I had an infatuation with trailer park women. There wasn't nothing in the world I liked better than going home to a trailer park girl, a trailer park woman, and watching her warm up something to eat in the kitchen, in the stove. And I got a Patch Blue ribbon sitting on the table, and I was addicted for a long time. Matter of fact, my first wife was a trailer park girl.
Nice.
And that didn't work out too good.
Yeah.
And but I had my mullet haircut, and that was the thing back then. We had Poison videos, and we had all these heavy metal videos with these little trashy girls on there.
Right.
And that's what some of us got into. But we grew out of it, and I didn't try to change every woman into a trailer park woman, and I didn't get mad when the trailer park woman rejected me or whatever and want to go out there and kill all the women in the trailer park. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
So, I know that's a crazy example to use, but, I did like trailer park women, but I didn't, you got to take responsibility about whatever you do, but the choices you make in life.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really getting at.
Yeah, it's been there's been a major push against responsibility. That's why it's partly why this young man fell for that, that delusion. Who knows what else he was into?
You ever hear overweight people say, "Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's why I'm so overweight"?
Yes.
No, it's because you won't back away from the table. That's what your problem is.
Right.
Take you some personal responsibility. Well, I'm an alcoholic because my mom and daddy was an alcoholic, and now I'm an alcoholic, and it's their fault. No, it ain't their fault. You made the choice to be an alcoholic. I grew up with some kids that had some rough, redneck, white trash families, and they turned out to be some of the most productive people in the city, in the town. Yeah. They chose not to be like that. Yeah. So it's all about choice. It's a personal responsibility. That's what I believe anyhow, Abe.
Yeah, I agree. You can overcome these things. They're not necessarily, it's not a life sentence to be subject to this stuff. You're not a alcoholic forever just because you were an alcoholic once or whatever. It's just a name for something that you're into and it's hard to kick. But it's a setup. People have been, hopefully we find out more about this guy's family situation and his drugs situation, maybe, if he's into that, and what type of mindset he had, what he believed in, because we don't even know if this guy was a Christian or what. Anyway.
I kind of doubt he was anything near a Christian.
He definitely felt guilty, and that is, everybody knows that this pornography and this illicit sex stuff is wrong, and so some people try to blame Christianity for that.
His parents turned him in. Didn't his parents help get him locked up or get him turned in?
I haven't read much about the situation yet, so that may be, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, Lord, there he is out there trying to pick up them agents. He done went crazy and started killing them.
Yeah.
I guess his mama called the police on him. I don't know.
Okay.
But anyhow, I just wanted to call you. I just wanted to call you and talk about, really what we need to look at is personal responsibility of the actions that we do.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you, Skip.
I don't think. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later, hey.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Quickly, let me get to Lucas in Beverly Hills, California. Lucas, good to hear from you. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Hake, how are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you.
I'm just going to give you a monthly update, but I do want to know what your opinion is on people are doing it. I'm definitely doing it. About going to markets, places, big markets, the big stores, the ones that get it all. About going there and not having the mask and going inside and shopping.
It depends on the execution. I would probably have to see how you guys are handling yourselves in order to be a judge on it, because some people are kind of crazy about it or overly pushy about it or whatever, or their ego is involved. Probably for most people, their ego is involved, and that's not a positive thing. That's not going to set a good example for anybody. It's not going to wake people up. But if you're just being a free man and doing it and just setting a good example of freedom for people, that can be enlightening, and I appreciate it. I don't necessarily have a strong opinion either way.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because have you noticed that people are egotistical and all over involved?
Yes.
Especially the women.
For all I know, I might be one of those guys, because I'm kind of, I just walk in and they tell me put on a mask and I say no, and I just get what I want, and then if they refuse to sell to me, then that's whenever I try to get everyone's attention and let them know what's going on and try to wake people up. I'm a little loud about it, sometimes I cuss. Definitely with the merchandise that I've made, it's a little controversial, but. But the day before yesterday, I hit Target by myself with my friend, and I was just telling everyone, because all I wanted to get was a pack of candy. I'm like, let's see if I can get a pack of candy from Target, the one actually right next to your guys' church, and I just let everyone know that BLM is getting away with burning and looting and murdering and doing all this stuff, and they're getting away with it. Yet I can't just get a pack of candy without a mask.
Yeah.
And I just think, what do you think about that? Does that make sense to you?
I would avoid cussing if there's children around and stuff like that. You want to be cool-headed about stuff. I don't know. It's even what you described. I want to say that you may be a little off in it, but I can't tell you for sure because I'm not there with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yesterday we hit the Irwan right next to church, all around here where the church is at.
Yeah.
Well, there's just a bunch of cops not letting us in. And then we went to the Trader Joe's next to it, and then we just walked right in. We already have complete control over that Trader Joe's now. Every time we come in, they don't stop. They don't stop us. They don't tell us to put on a mask.
Right.
It's like we can go in and shop, and they have our own like specific line to go to.
Yeah.
We can skip the whole big line.
That's
and
cool.
Then, but I think we're on the news because we also went to Whole Foods Market after that, and that was bad. The cops followed us from Irwan to Whole Foods Market. And I was just telling people, I was yelling out, like, I want to get your opinion if, like, I'm getting too radical, whatever it is. But I was just telling people that everyone in the line, because they weren't letting anyone inside, there's just a big line. And I was just telling, like, telling the men, like, the men have to just take off the mask. The men have to stand up.
Right.
And then all these women were coming at me, and I was like, do not listen to the women. I was like, men, I'm talking to the men right now.
Yeah.
You guys have to take off the mask, because if all men just do exactly this, the women will follow in line. Like, do you think that's a little too radical?
No, that statement is not. I don't think that statement is wrong. I think you're right in that. You have to know for yourself if you're too radical or whatever, though, right? You can't just rely on my opinion or Jesse's opinion. You have to know for yourself, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, but I just wanted to see because
I mean, you don't want to press your luck. I like that Trader Joe's is being reasonable about it. I've heard that there have been guidances given to some employees or some businesses not to get in a fight with anybody over a mask because there have been shootings. There was, I think, like at a dollar store, a Family Dollar or something, a black security guard got shot after getting in a fight or a verbal altercation with a black female or something over not wearing the masks. This was months ago. And after that, people were like, okay, we don't need to be so crazy about this. But you're right. The women are a little nuts pro-mask. You don't want to be a little nuts anti-mask necessarily. You want to be even and reasonable.
No. Yeah, no, I totally understand where you come from.
But
I just want to get
a good thing to respect the business's wishes. But I appreciate the expression of freedom and a little bit of a wake-up call because it is silly. I have this video footage. I don't know if I'll have time to play it, but I have this video footage of Joe Biden's lackey just cleaning up, wiping down the podium in between speakers, like the black Defense Department secretary speaks, and they wipe it down. He puts his mask back on, and then Kamala Harris stands up on her little footstool so that she's tall enough, and then she talks, and then they wipe it down before Biden. Sleepy Joe comes up and takes off his mask and talks a little bit for 12 minutes before getting tired and forgetting his defense secretary's name. So it is ridiculous, all this performance. All this mask thing with the politicians, it's performance. And with the females, the women and the female-minded liberals, it's like a Nazi rules that they force, or communist rules, really, that they force you to follow. And it doesn't even have anything to do with actual reality. So you're right on that sense.
Well, definitely, Hake, like, I could give you raw footage. If you want to know what we're doing, do you have, like, an email or something? I can send you the footage.
Sure, you can send it to me.
Yeah, and people that are on chat as well. If you've seen it, I don't know if on the news, at Whole Foods Market yesterday.
Okay.
Right here.
But you don't want to be. There is such a thing, even though they say there's not. There is such a thing as negative publicity. Negative publicity can make things worse for you if you get caught acting up in a way that isn't right. And in many cases, if you do right, you can still get come down on. But if you're acting up, then you're not on the foundation of God. You're on the foundation of your ego or whatever. You know what I mean? So don't be getting all excited that you're on the news. No, most definitely. Well, you might just see me a lot. You need to be very, as a man, if you're going to continue to do this, crack down on the females who are female anti-maskers, because they're no better than the female pro-maskers in many cases, or the men who get all out of control. You don't want your people being undisciplined and out of hand. They got to be model citizens.
Yeah, we've gotten fights with we got in fights with the employees, but
physical
definitely
fights.
It's mainly,
what do you mean fights with the employees?
Fights. Like physical fights.
Then you guys are wrong.
Yeah, no, but it wasn't us. It's so the employees are putting hands on us, and then but it's mainly the customers that really get in fights. Fights with us. Yeah, it just.
But don't go
happened the other
picking
day.
fights. Don't go picking fights.
No, we're not. Yeah, no, most definitely.
And
I'm just trying to let people know.
go. I mean, lots of times people show up knowing that there's going to be a fight, and then they'll say, "I'm not picking a fight." So be honest.
Yeah.
Especially with your people. Because there's some snakes who will get into any organization and just completely undermine the whole situation, whether they mean to or not.
I have a real question. What do you think? Because me and my girlfriend have made this. My girlfriend's Chinese. It was actually her main idea, but I was like, actually that's kind of smart. But maybe it's not. That's why I want to get your opinion on, because we made merchandise, we made shirts, and it said, I'm not going to say the word, but it says F China, and it's like in supreme, words. Like, what do you think? We've been walking around with it for the past couple of days, ever since we got it. And we sold already like 6 shirts. We already sold 6 shirts.
I think that's the dirtiest part of. I mean, that's an example of dirty capitalism. I think that's a bad example. It's like contributing to the vulgar society. It doesn't need to be. I mean, there's guys I respect that have F Antifa. At least they put an asterisk. But even still, I don't agree with that. Maybe I'm too prudish. In the right context, okay, if you're going to like a punk rock concert or somewhere there is no, it just doesn't set a nice example. It's just kind of projecting anger and nastiness.
Well, it's definitely caught everyone's attention. A lot of people came up to us asking what it's meant, and so it kind of gives us a chance to talk to them and explain about what it really means.
Okay.
Some people got pissed off by it, and then I just got to calm them down and be like, look, this is what it means.
Right.
So maybe I should just put CCP. I don't know. We're thinking, but this is our
I'm not.
trauma.
The F word is my only issue.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only issue. I don't care about if you don't like China. And CCP, only we know about it. The liberals don't know what CCP means.
I know, that's true.
So it's not going to be effective.
Yeah. Yes, but this is though. But all right, but I just want to get your opinion and your take on it. I've been doing a lot for the past 2 weeks right now. So I just want to let you know, keep you updated.
The chat says if you were told to mask up or get out and you didn't get out, you started the fight, even if the employees were the ones who put the hands on you first.
Oh well, I say to that. Yeah, no, I don't want to say what I want to say to that.
Don't they have the right to discriminate against you for any reason?
Yeah, they can. They can, but if we all just don't wear a mask, then we can stop this whole mask thing. Because if we just keep putting on the mask and we don't stand up, then we're just going to be wearing masks for maybe the next till I die.
So that would be powerful if you just said, "Okay, I'm leaving then."
Yeah, but then everyone else, they're still getting business. But
they're not getting your business. You got their business.
True.
I mean, you gave them your business after they, that would be more powerful than, then you would be standing on righteousness,
Yeah, but I just don't want to live in a world where everyone looks like zombies and sheep.
But you can't necessarily control the world, but you can influence the world by setting a good example. And if you're trying to force yourself on a business that wants to follow these silly rules, then you're turning yourself wrong.
Okay. All right. I see. This is good feedback.
Because imagine if you did just leave. Imagine if you said, "Okay, I'm leaving." That would be because most people would say, "Okay, I'm putting on my mask." Or some people might get a little crazy and be like, "No, I'm not putting on my mask, and I'm going to stay here, and you can't stop me." But if you said, "Okay, I'm leaving," that would be unexpected. That would stick in their memory more for doing the right thing rather than getting into a fight and they feel justified in judging you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, something to think about, Lucas. We'll talk.
No, most definitely. This is just part of what I'm doing. I'm making a website. I'm not gonna, I'm not trying to tag anything, but I'm
Are you
also making a
working? Do you
website.
have a job right now?
Yes. In fact, I have a work at a warehouse, but then I'm also doing odd jobs. I actually, it's called People's Ready. I actually worked right behind the church the other day.
Okay.
Which I wanted to say that we were building
I gotta go, Lucas. We'll talk more. We'll talk more. Yeah.
All
I
right.
got a lot of callers to get to. Take care, man.
Definitely.
Appreciate you.
Man. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Take care. I like this question because a lot of people are into this anti-mask thing, right? Robot Moose says, this dude has the same mentality, I'm just saying this, as of those who think that because they spend their money, they can treat you like trash as well. I don't know, he seems like a nice guy, but just, anyway. No, Lucas is a nice guy, but stay cool, Lucas. Anyway, fan of the ladies gave a super chat a diamond on D-Live. Says, what cereal is better, Fruit Loops or Fruity Pebbles? Fruit Loops, come on. Will you like Fruity Pebbles? You would. Fruity Pebbles are like rice.
Win.
Are like Rice Krispies, but I didn't get Fruity Pebbles as often. I didn't get either of those because I preferred Captain Crunch, baby.
Oh, Captain Crunch was number 2.
Except those things can hurt your mouth.
I know, the roof of your mouth will be done for a week.
But I wasn't spoiled with sugar cereal until much later in my childhood / adulthood. Like, we had Cheerios, and Raisin Bran was kind of nice because it did have some sugar. And you could put some honey on your Cheerios.
Yeah, that's how, when I would go to my dad's house, we would have Cheerios because he wouldn't do the sugar thing.
Uh-huh.
But I was living at my mom's house, we had as much Fruity Pebbles, Captain Crunch as you wanted.
Yeah, that's funny. I would mix my cereal. I would put a packet of cold oatmeal, like the peaches and cream or whatever, and then Cheerios, maybe a little bit of like granola, maybe just crack up some graham crackers. Would make a whole concoction.
All you needed was just some flavored cereal.
I know. And I wouldn't even cook the oatmeal. It was just good like that. Anyway, with milk. Anyway, oh man. Okay, so let me just tell you briefly. You may have heard before I get back to calls. Hang tight. I'm coming to you next. Hugh, first-time caller in New York. I'm coming to you next. Hang tight. But, all these evil liars. You heard Jesse Lee Peterson talk about Judy Chu and all these people. Judy Chu was causing trouble over in Monterey Park, close to where I'm from, since the late 80s. She's been a mess for a long time. She's basically the black female, quieter version of Maxine Waters. Disgusting woman. Evil. Maybe I'm going a little overboard, but she's been a Democrat, so what's the difference, right? Cortez saying dismantling racist anti-Asian violence means standing up to white supremacy. The same ideology that asks us to empathize with those who commit racist violence rather than the families destroyed and communities targeted by it. Hashtag Stop Asian Hate. And they have a flower hash flag, something around it. There's Judy Chu fighting against the San Gabriel Valley. And the dummies in the San Gabriel Valley, which is where I'm from, voted for her year in and year out. And she pretends like she's this classy Asian woman. She's not. She's a Democrat. Nothing classy about a Democrat. There she is with that fake Stop Asian Hate mess. She doesn't stand up to anything evil. She stands up for evil and lies. Cori Bush is another black female politician, so-called. To our Asian neighbors, family, and friends, I know the world seems more scary today, more cruel. Just drumming it up. Know that we love you. No, you don't. We mourn those killed last night in Atlanta with you. We will dismantle white supremacy alongside you. Well, this guy, according to the sheriff spokesman, they've gotten outraged because the authorities said the suspect claimed to have a sexual addiction, whatever that means. It's not an actual addiction. And the spas were a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate, as I told you yesterday, right? I think. County Sheriff's Captain Jay Baker told the press it seemed the suspect was at the end of his rope and Tuesday was a really bad day for him. Yeah, I would say so. And this is what he did. It stunned Americans who saw the language as showing more sympathy for the suspect than for his victims. Shut up, women. Don't be concerning yourselves with this stuff. This is man's work. Men's work. That's what I say to these people. It's not the only thing Baker's getting lashed back for. He also reportedly been accused of sharing racist Facebook posts. In other words, he's an honest cop, right? Probably. Racist Facebook posts. That usually means that you're sharing something either funny and or true. Most likely partly true. Anyway, I haven't looked into the Facebook posts. But they say there's not enough evidence yet to call the shootings a hate crime, but the Atlanta mayor still said it would be appropriate to charge this 21-year-old young male with a hate crime who's accused of doing these shootings. The white man, the white boy. Georgia passed a new fake hate crime law over the summer after Ahmaud Arbery's death, penalizing crimes motivated by a victim's race, sex, national origin, or more, as if they even know what they're talking about. They used Facebook posts from James Fields, who drove into the crowd in the Charlottesville situation. They used Facebook posts, and he's just saying normal stuff, normal angry guy stuff. It was partly true. On his Facebook page, and they're using it as indication that he hated people for their politics or something like that, or blackness or whatever. It's ridiculous. If you oppose Black Lives Matter, you're a racist or something stupid like that. The gunman was arrested unharmed and questioned, just as we've seen with many white male suspects. This is writing by the far-left female outlet, The Skim. Including mass shooters and Capitol rioters. Capitol rioters, most of them didn't do any harm to anybody. Anyway, they're saying, but encounters with black men and women, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Daniel Prude, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, shot at cops. George Floyd resisted arrest and was overdosing, and many others. Suspected of doing far less than murder or even nothing at all, disproportionately end in death, which I don't even know if it's disproportionately. It may be because they do resist arrest highly disproportionately. Blacks 8-9 times as likely to resist arrest? Please. As whites? It's crazy. Asians, some of the Asian radicals who hate whites are talking about it's perpetuating the sexual stereotypes and fetishization of Asian women, because a lot of people, a lot of whites and many others are into the Asian girls, or women in this case, females, grown adult females. And experts say this can lead to the objectification of Asian women, as if that's not what you guys push all the time by trying to be all sexy, sick deceivers, trying to have your cake and eat it too. Give me a break. You see the Grammys, anybody? I didn't watch it, but I heard that they were trying to objectify themselves, having basically simulating sex or a fake imitation of sex with two women. Sick. Yeah, Keisha Lance Bottom, the Democrat Atlanta mayor, evil female, black, said that she wouldn't get into victim blaming or victim shaming because there's a question as to the sex activity that may have been happening at these places, like Skip alluded to. Anyway, there's this whole organization called Stop AAPI, and sure enough, Stop AAPI Hate. AAPI is Asian American and Pacific Islander. Even though they don't get along with each other, they hate one another. My Chinese friends are like, don't trust her. She's Filipina. Anyway, they don't like each other. They don't like how the Vietnamese talk because their voices are all annoying. Anyway, I'm getting out of. I'm deviating from the subject, but it's a big mess. Before I get back to calls, I got to show you this story. This took place actually in 2012, and we are not getting justice for it. By we, I mean society, right? Society needs justice against this evil thing until now. 8-9 years later, 2021. This is from Breaking 911. Shout out to the guy who tagged me on this on Twitter. This is that horrific child cruelty folder. A couple, a father and the father's girlfriend, were sentenced, according to the news, to 32 years in prison. I think they could have gotten up to 57 years to life in prison for the torturing of the father's daughter, age 4, to death and burying her in a shallow grave in the desert. This, believe it or not, is the male who, honestly, I was a little confused. I thought, okay, this must be the male, but then I was like, but wait, is that the male? Because it's almost, he looks so effeminate, except that he has a little bit of a mustache. And yes, the person in front, this is an old photograph from, I guess, early 2013 when they first went to court after being arrested in protective custody. Look at this wild hair. He looks like anyway, one of those singers who's just out of control and on crack. And the girl in the back is his girlfriend. At the time, they were like 19 and 21. She was 18, 19, he was 20, 21. This is the woman, Bianca Stanch. Bianca Annie Mae Stanch and Ronald Dean Greer, October 6th, 2020, Tuesday, they were found guilty of first-degree murder for the death of Greer's 4-year-old daughter, Samia Christine Cornell Downing. Additionally found guilty, that's the girl. Cute little girl, she died in 2012, end of 2012, December. They're found guilty of torturing her and guilty of child abuse, special allegation of causing death. Look at this smiling little girl. Well, the girlfriend, the case started in 2012. Samia, the girl, young woman, lived with Greer, who was about 20. Samia being the little girl, actually. Samia is the little girl. This is Stanch. Stanch is the woman, about 18 or 19. In an apartment in Adelanto, California, which is kind of the boonies, I think. It was reported from Victorville. Stanch was Greer's girlfriend, but not the mother of Samia. And according to witnesses, Stanch had an extreme dislike for Samia, the little girl, treated her poorly. Victorville Daily Press reported January 2nd, 2013. 3 charged with murder and the torture of a girl. 2013 they were charged. Not until October this past year, 7 years later, almost 8 years later, were they convicted. Purportedly, the crime occurred around December 15th, 2012. They investigated the disappearance of this little girl the 27th. 2 weeks later, after interviewing the father and girlfriend, they found the body of the little 4-year-old girl in a shallow grave, desert grave near Baker. Her cousin, Rayshawn Stanch, was convicted of, he pleaded guilty eventually to helping them hide and bury this little girl. They went out for dinner, and he was home with the little girl, and she died of thirst. Terrible. They would beat her, deprive her of water as a form of punishment. And the woman was the one doing it, the non-mother. The father just let it happen. I guess he was a simp or something. Meaning let the woman do whatever. I don't know what happened with this girl's actual mother. But this guy, Rayshawn Stanch, the cousin who helped them do this, previously he had a misdemeanor battery and felony assault with a deadly weapon convictions in San Bernardino County. Which San Bernardino is way outside of LA. Not that far, but kind of far. Greer, the father, was convicted of theft and vandalism, misdemeanor, a year before that. But There was a little not a GoFundMe. It was called Fundraiser. They raised $500 for this little girl. Just on this past Friday, the two were sentenced to 32 years to life in prison for the murder of this little girl. What a mess. And you read the details of what they were doing to her, pouring hot water on the girl. Terrible cruelty. It's pretty sick stuff. Disturbing. But it's a messed up culture. This is all, like, the details of it was shared by Victorville News Group and the San Bernardino County DA. They found out just the details of how they were daily beatings and all kinds of stuff. Stand in the corner for 8 hours, the day of her death. Just some terrible cruelty. She was all lethargic right before she died. Locked inside a bedroom within the apartment. I think they taped her to stuff. She snuck into the kitchen at one point and drank cleaning solution, the only liquid she could find. Just awful things what they were doing to that little girl. Anyway. What a mess. Let me get to, I think I said I'm getting to Hugh next. Hugh, a first-time caller in New York. How are you doing, Hugh?
Oh, James.
Hey.
It's great to talk with you.
Nice to hear from you.
Yeah, I actually reformulated when I talked to the call screener. I was just curious on your opinion on something, especially with the age of COVID and kind of what's been going on over the past year. But would you say that a parent that took their child to, let's just say, for a doctor's appointment, and that doctor said, hey, your child is really overweight, and we've got to be really concerned about things like, adult onset diabetes and stuff like that, and that parent, brings the child home and does nothing about it except let their kid play, video games all day long and doesn't treat that, would you kind of consider that to be like child abuse?
I don't like the word child abuse, honestly, but yeah, it's evil to spoil the kid.
Neglect?
Yeah, it's neglect. It's evil. It's a disgrace. That's wrong. You are supposed to treat your child right and not spoil them, not let them eat whatever they want and stuff like that. That's what a parent is for.
Exactly, and I feel like we have such a huge rise of single parent households because that's the liberal agenda. So they're really pushing all the fathers out of the home.
Yeah, the liberals blame food deserts. They blame the outside world and not the people themselves. As Skip said, it's responsibility.
Exactly.
Even if you go to McDonald's every day, you could get a salad every day. They do sell salads.
I know, it's available.
You can get apple slices. Anyway.
Right.
And there are, and give me a break, there are, there's these, what do you call that? Those grocery stores. The grocery stores, great food. Anyway, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. And it's becoming this huge problem. This is actually from the CDC. The CDC actually just released statistics stating that as of right now, kids aged between 2 years old and 19 years old, the obesity rate is at 20%.
Wow.
I mean, that is, for adults like over 40, it's like 45%. It's just insane,
it's going through the roof. Society is spoiled, and it's not a good situation. I appreciate it, Hugh. I'm sorry to rush you, but I gotta run. Appreciate it, man.
Not at all. I'll definitely call back again. Thank you so much for
that sounds good.
Appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. First-time caller Curtis in Minneapolis in the last 3 minutes here. Curtis, what's up?
Hello. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good. I just have a perspective here because I guess I'm I do agree that we are all in a fallen state and everything like that. But there's a perspective that I have in regards to this as well, too, because I am a black. But I have family members.
Do you say you're a black?
Yeah.
And you spell it TT at the end?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Absolutely.
How old are you?
51.
Okay. Go on.
So I have family members, that ever since, the civil rights movement and everything like that, were part of that, have made sure that they try to integrate society. And actually, we're one of the first ones to actually get housing, integrated housing within that time frame. Huh?
I said, what a shame.
Yeah. So they were, exactly. So they totally integrated with their society or with that society. They live in the suburbs right now.
So they went where they weren't wanted?
No, they actually were welcomed, not welcomed at first, but as the neighbors got to know them, then they became great friends with the neighbors. And, they spearheaded, the great communion that they've built with them to establish other networks in other areas in life. So these family members, they're doing extremely well. They own their own businesses. They got money in the bank. They got children that graduated from universities and colleges. They themselves have done the exact same thing. But, when it comes down to, what's going on in this society, they have no clue. They have no understanding. To me, they're sleeping. They're sleeping even more than I am. And I just recently kind of got into the truth and everything like that, or what have you. And, I separate my truth from, what people say to what the Word of God says. So a lot of people say, what's going on with black society? Are they cursed? And I say, yes, exactly. They are cursed very specifically. And there's one that's in Deuteronomy.
Are you an Israelite?
No.
Are you a Hebrew?
No.
Are you a Christian?
No.
Are you a Mormon?
No, I'm just a person that reads the Bible and follows the Bible.
Oh. All right.
So I don't claim any denomination because the Word of God says that there's only one faith, one belief, one baptism, and everything like that. In this land, there's many different baptisms, many different denominations, many different faiths, and everything like that.
Okay.
So,
you know what? We're going to have to carry on our conversation
sure.
Another day. I appreciate the call, Curtis. I wish you well, man.
All right. You too, my friend.
All right. Take care, man.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Rick and the rest of the callers, I cannot get to you. We are overtime. TheHakeReport.com for my stuff. JesseLeePeterson.com. From there, you can find The Fallen State as well as Church with Jesse Lee Peterson through RebuildingTheMan.com. That's the Bond website. Jesse Lee Peterson's nonprofit. Thank you for the support, guys. And let me just double check the Streamlabs. All right. Have a good one. It's Thursday. Have a good Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Take care.
Yeah.